In this video, we provide an overview of DB2 instances. An instance is an independent environment where applications can run and database can be created. For example, in this figure, we show a gray box representing a DB2 data server after installing DB2 Express C 9.7. When installing DB2 Express C on Windows, a default DB2 instance is created which happens to be called DB2. On Linux, this default instance is called DB2 Ins1. This is represented by the green box. You can create multiple instances on a data server and use them for different purposes. For example, one instance can hold databases for production, another one for test, one for development. All of these instances are independent, that is, performing operations on one instance will not affect the other instances. For example, in this figure, instance myIns is totally independent from instance DB2. If instance DB2 crashes, it will not affect instance myIns. Each instance has a unique TCP IP port number. This helps to distinguish between instances when you database in a given instance from a remote client using TCP IP. To create a new DB2 instance from the command window or Linux, shall use the command DB2 icrt and the instance name. For example, to create the instance myIns, we use DB2 icrt myIns and press enter. To list the instances in your system, run the command db2 ilist. In our case, it shows instances instance myIns and instance DB2. To make an instance the active one, meaning that all commands are directed to that instance within a command or Linux shall use set db2 instance myIns. If you want to make the myIns instance the active one and press enter, note that there should not be any blank spaces before or after the equal sign. On Linux, an instance maps to a Linux user, so if you want to make another instance the active one, simply switch to the corresponding user using the Linux su command. To list the current active instance, issue db2 gets instance. And as you can see, myIns is shown as the active one to this command window since I set the db2 instance variable to myIns earlier. Let me set the instance db2 to be again the active one to my command. So I issue set db2 instance equals db2 and I press enter. To stop an instance, issue the command db2 stop. As you can see, I have now stopped the instance db2 which was the active one to my commands. The other instance myIns is not affected, so if that other instance was running, it will still continue to run. If I try to connect to the sample database by issuing db2 connect to sample and pressing enter, I will get an error message because the instance is not up. To start an instance, issue the command db2 start. Press enter. As you can see, I have now started the instance db2. On Windows, you can also stop and start an instance from the Services panel. Each instance corresponds to a Windows service. Here we can see one service for instance DB2 and another service for instance myIns. Let's double click on the service for instance myins, and you can see from here that you can start or stop the service or instance. You can also click on the log on tab, and you can see that this service is started as a local system. But normally, you will see services of DB2 being started by the account that you specified when you install DB2. To drop an instance, issue DB2 iDrop and the name of the instance. So for example, I will put here DB2 iDrop myins and press enter. To confirm that I in fact drop the instance myins, I can do a DB2 ilist. And this time I see that the myins instance does not show up in DB2 list of instances. Let me quickly create it again so I can use the instance myins. Later on other videos, you can also manage instances from GUI tools like IBM Data Studio, which we'll discuss in other video.